This is Spoken by Elswith, a Femdom Hypnosis podcast, Season 4. Welcome to Episode 5. In this episode, I'm going to refer back to Episode 3. It wasn't that long ago, so I'm sure you remember. As well as talk about the Book of Expectations and the Headspace. Now, in Episode 3, I did say, playing with this fantasy with Femdom hypnosis and using the Headspace was similar to a very popular game, Dungeons and Dragons, right? Well, there's something called the Book of Expectations. It's mentioned previously in sessions. It is a headspace construct, a place where one can imagine rules and instructions written down, laid out carefully so everyone's on the same page. The Book of Expectations, it's like your player's guide. Except in our game, you can't just thumb through it whenever you please, or flip to pages not meant for you. A few of those personas or triggers that have pages in the Book of Expectations, it includes, first of all, the Pocket Pet. Now, technically, Pocket Pet doesn't have a page in the Book of Expectations because he's little. He has this teensy tiny notepad that's called the Book of Introspection. But it's very similar. The best example of how the Book of Expectations works is in my trio of maids, Margaret, Pixie, and Prissy. These three personas, characters, they all have very different ways of responding to the same situations. And there are ideas and experiences I can imagine that would perfectly suit Pixie, that just wouldn't be suitable for Margaret. She's too proper. But in the Book of Expectations, Margaret, Prissy, and Pixie, they can all turn to their page and know exactly how they are to dress and act. Handy, right? A player's guide. Now, as this season progresses, you will find that more and more have a page in the Book of Expectations. And as I said, it is a headspace construct. Now, if you've been with me, you know about the headspace. You have one, I have one, and I share mine. Maybe they kind of just merge in together. Now, without me, what is yours like? Is it basically a shoebox where you've just tossed in all kinds of snippets and ideas? Maybe a few post-it notes around. Or is it lush and lavish and this entire world? Or maybe you've borrowed one from a favorite book or a movie, or heck, a D&D campaign, right? And what is mine like? Well, that's a great question. I will say mine definitely has a focal point, and you've been there. You've been in quite a few of the rooms as well. Plus, to keep things interesting, there's more floating around here and there. Is yours populated with personas or tulpas, which is a somewhat common term that's been gaining traction lately? For some, a tulpa is almost, it's almost like you describe a child's imaginary friend. They have their own actions and thoughts and behaviors and so on. For a lot of other people, their tulpas just live in their head. If you're writing a novel or a short story, you might have quite a few up there as you're writing down what they're doing to create the story. Have you ever experienced that? Well, I promise you in this world-building experience that I'll never bore you with types of government or currency. But I will take great liberties with reality and stretch you beyond what you thought would be your limits. We can do anything here in this auditory experience. And speaking of, wow, the Walking to Seduction, the plant shop session, it's free. It's on the podcast or YouTube, whichever you're using right now. Make sure you listen to it. I love the feedback. I especially love some of the very, how to phrase this? Some of the very creative add-ons that people made to the different shops. And don't think I missed the fact that quite a few lingered on that shoe shop and really wanted to go in. Okay, that's it for today. Be aware that a very special Getting Longer Season 4 is starting soon. Very soon. And in an episode coming up, we're going to cover the Book of Expectations in regards to Sabriel, as well as that everyday life submissive.